One thing I really wish I knew sooner, specifically about office zones, is that office zones don't really produce any goods. Office zones are basically just providing workplaces for your higher educated citizens, which is great. However, in my early days of playing City Skylines on PS4 back in the day, I was like, wait, there is an option that reduces my industrial demand, because that's what the office buildings do, and they are clean. They don't produce any pollution. That's amazing. So what did I do in my PlayStation City back in the day? I converted all of my dirty, stinky, generic industry into office buildings. Sounds good in theory. However, since they don't really produce any goods for your city, everything that would be sold in my commercial zones, in my shops, had to be imported from outside of the city. And all of a sudden, I was left with a massive traffic jam in my city because I had trucks coming from everywhere trying to deliver goods to my city. So always be careful when placing your office zones. Don't go too much overboard with those. Always keep in mind that you also need the generic industry as well to produce the goods for your city that are sold in your city. I mean, it's cool that we have this clean option, but yeah, you can specialize it with the IT cluster if you have the Green Cities DLC. The IT cluster does produce some goods that are distributed without any trucks even, but it's not enough for your entire city, so just be aware of that. But what I love to do in City Skylines also is to double up pedestrian walking paths just to give it that extra bit of wideness for the walking paths. However, if you have the Plazas and Promenades DLC, you also have pedestrian roads. And if we go to the pedestrian roads, and we can just simply add one right here. Now, we have to be careful because we need to toggle the zoning squares off and then place the pedestrian road, because if we don't do that, it will have zoning squares on the pedestrian road, and if you zone a building or if you place a building, it will need a pedestrian area to function properly. Now, why do I like to do this? It is exactly 2 tiles wide as well as the 2 pedestrian pathways, and it looks visually amazing. Visually, it looks amazing. We can upgrade this. We could do this. For instance, we can have it be really, really cool if we go and grab a different type of tree here. Look at this. Lovely, isn't that lovely? And the cool thing is that even services will use this because they can drive through here. No cars can go through here, but service vehicles, garbage collection, police, fire can use this. So that's something I wish I really knew sooner. Obviously, you'll need Plazas and Promenades DLC, but it's one of my favorite DLCs anyway, so yeah, I don't have any beef with that. Next up, never forget how OP the walking tours are from the Park Life DLC. Walking tour point of interest. I had placed some of these walking paths here a very long time ago to get the illusion of these like custom fields, vineyards, you know, whatever you want to call them, looking really good. The problem is it is not really a place that your citizens will visit because the walking paths don't really go anywhere. They don't present any type of shortcut, so they're not enticed to actually walk on that. However, if you go and use a walking tour as I did here, you will see that the citizens, they even will use their bike and ride up those walking paths. Right here, we have somebody walking here. Of course, these should be tourists. A tourist, yeah, because it's a walking tour, so you can create these points of interest, like however you would usually place a bus line, for instance. This is basically just how I did that, and this requires the Park Life DLC, but that's how you can get at least some people to walk on your pedestrian pathways that maybe not present a good shortcut for your citizens. Use the walking tours and you will get some pedestrian traffic. What really bugged me in City Skylines is the fact that when we want to place a fence and we have all snapping on, it doesn't really go close to a network here. It stops like half a tile before, or half a cell before the road. And when we come in here and turn off all snapping, we have the issue that we have to like sort of eyeball it to not be crooked or at an angle or some sort. So what I love to do here is after I've anchored my first part of the fence is just turn the snapping to angle, and then I can move the mouse up or down and the fence won't go up or down, which is pretty good because that's what I want. And we can go super close to the road, to the network. This is amazing. Now, be careful here because you have to anchor it first. So we're going to anchor it, turn off all snapping except for the angles, and then we can come in here and go really, really close. The cool thing is with these cemeteries, for instance, same exact principle, we can't go too close, but then after we anchor it, we turn on the angle snapping. Look at how close we can get to the cemetery. I love this snapping option a lot. Snap to angle, and you can get really close to networks and buildings you plop down. Really nice to know and very helpful for city building. So anytime I have these open spaces, what I used to do was what you see here. I just placed down a bunch of trees, filled out the area, and it does look good, right? It's okay. It's better than this big open space that we would have if there's no trees here. But what I like to do as well is go to my trees and then ever so gently place down a few clumps of trees, and I think that makes all the difference. Instead of mass forestry, we can just have a few of those clumps in the trees, and it looks really nice. I think it looks much better than just the bomb full of trees, like this entire space filled out. This looks really good, looks so much better in my opinion, and I really wish I knew this sooner, because this is what I used to do. This is right here. It's a forest. It's basically a forest, but I think this looks really nice and makes for great visuals in your city. Heading into the topic of traffic in city skylines. When you build your city, as it becomes larger, your city grows, more residents want to go into the city, want to leave the city, it will put your road network to a strain. Like, it can heavily strain your road network. What I found is the best way to combat this is having multiple exits and entry points from your highway. So if we look at the city of Riverton right here, we have the highway going through here like an artery, and we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 highway exits here all around the city. Highway exit and entry points, and there's also a little exit ramp right here onto the highway. So that is a big tip to combat traffic, and that is something I really wish I knew sooner when I started playing the game, because I was like, why is everything bottleneck? Well, of course everything is turned into a bottleneck if you only have one highway interchange for your entire city. So space out these interchanges and definitely have multiple of those in your city to combat the bottlenecks that can happen in city skylines. Another thing for traffic is never underestimate the power of one-way roads. I used to shy away from those just because I wasn't really sure how to, do the road layout properly with one-way roads. But after you try it a couple of times, it's not really difficult, it's super simple, and it does help because cars from here, they cannot drive out here and merge onto the big artery road that is the 4-lane avenue. So it's only a way in. You can use that to create some cool loops, some cool T-junctions, so we don't have these 4-way junctions here. Just be sure that for every way out, you also have a way in with your one-way roads. Small stretches of one-way roads in your city can really help with traffic, can really help with the flow of traffic, and can make or break cities, honestly. Not really something that helps with traffic, but visually I think is really underestimated also is using fences as barriers on highway ramps or on roads in general. I, for instance, love to use the zoo fence. Obviously, you will need Park Life DLC for that. And you have the zoo fence, which is really a great fence. Looks like a barrier in my opinion. Looks like a highway barrier, and I love to do this on these like sharp turns because I mean here we have the highway with sound barrier, but we don't have a sound barrier on the highway on or off ramp right here. There is no sound barrier for this. So that's why I love to place fences. You can use any type of fence, but I think the zoo fence looks the best here as a barrier, sort of if you want to, for safety reasons, if we want to go for real life safety reasons. Definitely using fences can spice up your highway interchanges. One more thing I wish I knew sooner, or I wish I would have implemented sooner, is to get a unified look. Now, I love having this variety in my city, but what's really cool is we can actually control how the buildings look. So we're going to go with a 2x2 square of buildings here, put it on 3-speed, and now we're going to choose one of the buildings that spawns in as sort of the default. We only want that type of building. Now, we cannot change the type of building, we can't do that. So we have 2 of those here. Make this historical. This is just for a showcase. Everything that doesn't look like this will be deleted. And that's how we get this unified look in City Skylines. If we have the patience and turn all the buildings historical that we do not want to change appearance, but still want them to level up, we can get this look here. I like that it's the same building, but it's just the walls are different colored. Looking really cool. And for some neighborhoods, I think that's exactly the vibe that the city needs to have this unified look. Really great stuff. So if we want to have an amazing waterfall in City Skylines, we can easily do that if we have the Natural Disasters DLC and the fresh water outlet. Now, if we have an open body of water like this on the edge of our map, we can do some really cool stuff. First thing we have to do is sort of make a bit of a canal into the area here. So we're going to do some terraforming work. No worries at all. It is not a big problem. Be sure to save every time you do some terraforming work, because we never know what's going to happen in City Skylines. So what I want to do up here is basically create a little pool that might be too deep. Create a little pool here that will overflow at some stage. And all I'm doing here basically is I'm using the level terrain. I right click to set the height, and then I left click drag just to push that terrain to that set height. Okay, that seems pretty good so far. Yeah, I think that's actually okay. Now what we want to do is grab this fresh water outlet and put it in here. We will have to get some power and water to it, but first there's another little trick. Now let's just grab the smallest brush, get this height here, and create a little wall here so that the fresh water outlet will be submerged in water and it won't be visible at all, which is really great. Now let me hook this bad boy up, and it should start running normally as soon as it has enough power and water connection. There we go. So the cool thing is now we will have this great waterfall running down this area here. We might need to rework some of these areas here to avoid flooding. That's why I always say save before you do these kind of things, before you work with water in City Skylines, before you work with terrain stuffs. And I'm just doing little clicks here. So this thing will still run even though it is submerged in water, and as soon as it hits this wall where it's supposed to flow over, it will just start to flow over and it will create the cutest little waterfall that you've ever seen. To make it even better, we can of course come in here and decorate it with some rocks, with some trees, with some foliage. Great, amazing stuff. Really, really fun and not all that complicated to set up. Not really. No, it's actually cool. Oh, and as I'm putting down some foliage, it's already overflowing. Let's go. That's exactly what we want. And now look at this. Yo, this is really cool. How is the pathing? It looks good. Might get a bit flooding here. Not a problem. This is an open area, but just to be aware for you in your city. And just like that, we've created our very own waterfall. Now we can be very creative with these kind of things. What if we, for instance, would like a little pool in here? So I'm just clicking here, making this bigger, making a bit of an overflow pool. And as soon as the water reaches the certain height, it will overflow here, and look at that. We have created a super cool, unique waterfall water feature in our city, and you can hardly see the freshwater outlet. Now, obviously up here, we can also do some more decorating. I love to use these foliage, the shrubs and stuff to kind of hide these rough edges of the banks. I usually do that. So be sure to do that beforehand because you cannot place these on water. There we go. See, good thing we did that. And if you want, of course, you can also place in some trees all around the area. Do whatever you think looks good, what feels right for your city. There we go. Now, ain't that amazing? A custom waterfall, easy, no mods whatsoever, just the DLC, the Industries DLC for the freshwater outlet. That's it, nothing else. Really great. And you can get super creative with the shapes and the sizes of your waterfall. And as long as the water runs into an open body of water, boom, we are golden. Very awesome. And that concludes 10 City Skylines tricks I wish I knew sooner. Before we end the video off though, I want to give a quick but huge shout outs to all my YouTube members: Serhi the Guy, Matty Valdez 12, 7 Rave, P3J, John Penner 1013, V1 Rotate V2, Concierge Hades 3779, Chris Cozart 8880, Afaret 5, Chris Brown 9200, Luis PM 1662, Rod Botardo, Razor Basic JK06, Kitty Claude 580, Manuel Maita H8Q, Blitzer 1999, Mark T 1239, Rodrigo Kakarchi 7007, Daniel Chem 4448, OG Eastbull 1698, Parth Bob D 7365, Joshua Bell M9X, and Amanda Please 0423. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone, don't forget to check out Kings Peak, our new City Skylines series, right here in the playlist. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and please stay safe out there. Bye-bye now.